This phone predicted the exact day a man would die, and at first he thought it was just a joke.
But in real life, even without such a phone, time is still moving, and none of us truly know how much we have left. Many people keep waiting to enjoy life until it is almost too late. This story is about what happens when someone knows their end is coming and how they choose to live after that. So think about it. If you knew your time was short, what would you do first? What if your phone, the one you trust every day, suddenly knew something about your life that you didn't? Something you were never meant to know. Okafo was 29 years old, living alone in a small but neat apartment in Lagos, a city that never truly slept. Every night, the sound of distant traffic mixed with the low hum of generators outside his window, creating a strange kind of noise that had become normal to him. His life was simple, but not peaceful. Work was always stressful, deadlines never ended, and even when he came home, his mind refused to rest. The only thing that stayed with him constantly was his phone. It was always in his hand, always beside him, always on. After long hours at work, he would lie on his bed, scrolling endlessly through social media, watching videos, reading comments, and trying to forget how tired he felt inside. The bright light from his screen often became the only light in his room at night. It filled the silence, but never truly removed the loneliness. That night felt like any other. The air was warm, and his small fan was turning slowly above him, making a soft clicking sound with each rotation. Okafo lay on his bed, one hand behind his head, the other holding his phone close to his face. His eyes moved lazily across the screen, not really focused, just passing time. Then suddenly, something caught his attention. A video. The title was strange. "This app can tell you the day you will die." Okafo frowned slightly and adjusted his position. "People and nonsense," he muttered under his breath, but something about it made him click. The video showed different people reacting in shock, some laughing, some crying. The app they were using was called Lifetimer AI. According to the video, it used your data, your habits, your location, your lifestyle to predict your future, even your death. Okafo shook his head slowly, but he didn't scroll away. Instead, he kept watching. The comments were even stranger. Some people said it was fake, others said it was real. A few claimed the app had predicted things correctly for them. One comment stood out. "I thought it was a joke, until everything it said started happening." Okafo's fingers paused on the screen. For a moment, the room felt quieter than before. The fan was still turning. The noise outside was still there, but somehow, it felt like everything had moved far away. He sat up slowly. "Let me just see what rubbish this is," he said to himself. He clicked the link. The app downloaded quickly. Too quickly. He didn't think much of it at first. Apps usually took some time, but this one, it was almost instant. Before he could even question it, the icon appeared on his phone screen. A dark icon. Almost too dark. The name below it read, Lifetimer AI Okafo, stared at it for a few seconds. For no clear reason, his chest felt slightly tight. "Nah, ordinary app," he said quietly, trying to brush off the strange feeling. He tapped it. The screen opened immediately, but instead of a normal welcome page, the display went completely black. No buttons, no sound, just darkness. Okafo frowned and tapped the screen again. Nothing. Then suddenly, the phone vibrated, a low, deep vibration that felt different from normal notifications. The black screen flickered once, then twice, then slowly, white text appeared in the center. "Scanning user." Okafo's smile faded. His eyes narrowed slightly. "Scanning." "What?" he whispered. The phone became warm in his hand. Not hot, but warmer than it should be. The text changed. "Collecting data." He tried to press the back button. It didn't respond. He tried to close the app. Nothing happened. Now, the room felt heavier. The soft sound of the fan, the distant noise outside. Everything seemed to fade behind the silence growing around him. Then the text changed again. Analyzing life patterns. Okafo swallowed slowly. For the first time, he felt something he couldn't explain. Not fear yet, but something close. He shifted slightly on the bed and looked around his room as if expecting to see something or someone, but he was alone. completely alone. Still, the feeling remained. The screen flickered again. This time, the text changed one final time. Calculating remaining life. Okafo froze. His fingers tightened slightly around the phone. The air in the room suddenly felt heavier than before. The fan kept turning. Tick, tick, tick. But now, the sound felt louder. Too loud. Okafo stared at the screen, his eyes fixed, his breathing slowly becoming shallow. For some reason, he didn't want to look away. And yet, he couldn't stop looking. The loading bar began to move slowly, very slowly, as if it was taking its time, as if it already knew the answer. And in that quiet room, with only the faint sound of the fan and his own breathing, Okafo waited, not knowing that the moment he opened that app, something had already changed, something that would not let him go. The loading bar moved slowly, painfully slowly, like it was not just calculating numbers, but digging into something deeper. Okafo did not move. His eyes were fixed on the screen, unblinking. The air in the room had changed. It felt heavier now, like something invisible had quietly entered and was standing somewhere close, watching. The fan above him kept turning. Tick, tick, tick. But now, each sound felt louder than before. Finally, the loading bar stopped. The screen went completely still. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Okafo let out a small breath he didn't even realize he had been holding. See nonsense, he muttered softly, trying to calm himself. But before he could drop the phone, the screen flashed. A sharp white light filled the display. Then slowly, very slowly, the words began to appear. Your life has been calculated. Okafo frowned slightly. His throat felt dry. He swallowed. The next line appeared. Remaining time. There was a pause. A long, uncomfortable pause. Then, 13 days. Okafo blinked. Once, twice. Then he laughed. A short, dry laugh. 13 days? He said, shaking his head. Which kind stupid thing be this? He leaned back slightly on the bed, trying to brush it off, but the laughter didn't last. Something about the way the words stayed on the screen, unmoving, unblinking, felt wrong. Too serious. Too certain. Okafo stared at the number again. 13 days. His chest tightened slightly. No, this one no makes sense, he whispered. He tried to close the app again. Still, nothing. The phone did not respond. Then suddenly, the number disappeared. Okafo leaned forward quickly. Ah, the screen changed again. This time, a new message appeared. Verifying accuracy. Okafo's eyebrows pulled together. Before he could react, his phone rang. A loud, sharp ringtone broke the silence of the room. Okafo jumped slightly. He quickly looked at the caller, ED. It was his colleague from work. He hesitated for a second, then picked up. Hello? On the other end, the man spoke quickly. Okafo, tomorrow's meeting has been moved to 8 a.m. Don't be late. Okafo nodded slowly. Okay, I hear you. The call ended. He lowered the phone slowly, his mind slightly confused. Then he remembered the app. His eyes snapped back to the screen. The app was open again, and this time, it displayed something new. Event predicted. Incoming call from workplace. Confirmed. Okafo's heart skipped. He stared at the message. That one, na coincidence? He said quickly, almost defending himself. But before he could think further, another line appeared. Next event in 10 seconds. Knock on your door. Okafo froze. His body became still. His eyes slowly lifted from the phone to his door. The room was silent, too silent. He could hear his own breathing now, slow, shallow, uneasy. Nothing go happen, he whispered under his breath. He looked back at the phone. 10, 9, 8. His chest tightened. 7, 6. He stood up slowly from the bed. 5, 4. His eyes remained fixed on the door. 3, 2. His heart was pounding now. 1. Silence. For half a second, nothing happened. Okafo let out a breath. See, knock. A sharp, clear knock hit the door. Okafo froze completely. His words died in his throat. Knock, knock. Another knock followed. His heart began to race faster. Slowly, very slowly. He turned his head back to the phone. The screen now read, "Event confirmed." Okafo's hand began to shake slightly. Who is that?" he called out, his voice no longer steady. A familiar voice answered from outside. "Na me, landlord. I want to talk to you small." Okafo swallowed hard. The same landlord who rarely came unannounced. The same landlord who had not visited in weeks. Okafo did not move immediately. Instead, his eyes remained locked on the phone. The screen flickered again. Then the number returned. 13 days, but this time, it did not look like a joke anymore. It looked like a countdown, a real one. Okafo's breathing became uneven. His chest rose and fell faster now. "This thing," he whispered slowly, his voice trembling slightly. "This thing no be normal." For the first time since he downloaded the app, the thought entered his mind clearly. Not doubt, not curiosity, but fear. Real fear. Because now, it was no longer just words on a screen. It was happening, and deep inside him, a quiet, terrifying realization began to grow. What if the app was telling the truth? Okafo did not sleep well that night. Even after the landlord left, even after he tried to distract himself with television, something inside him refused to settle. The image of that screen, the 13 days, and the way the app predicted the knock exactly. It stayed in his mind like something that refused to leave. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The fan kept turning slowly above him. Tick, tick, tick. But now, the sound felt different, like it was counting something. He turned to his side and picked up his phone again. The screen was normal. No app open, no strange message. Everything looked fine. Okafo exhaled slowly. "Maybe I just overthink," he murmured. He scrolled through his phone for a while, trying to convince himself everything was still normal. Messages, videos, missed calls. Nothing unusual. But then, he noticed something. The app, Lifetimer AI. It had moved. Before, it was sitting quietly among his other apps. Now, it was alone, placed at the center of his screen. Okafo frowned deeply. "I no move you," he said quietly. He tapped and held the icon, trying to drag it back. The phone froze. The screen did not respond. Then suddenly, the icon slipped from his finger, on its own, and returned to the center. Okafo quickly removed his hand from the screen. A cold feeling crawled slowly up his back. No, this one no funny again," he whispered. He quickly went into his settings. Uninstall. He tapped it. The phone vibrated, but the app did not leave. Instead, a message appeared. "You cannot remove what has started." Okafo's eyes widened slightly. "What kind nonsense is this?" he said, his voice no longer calm. He pressed again. Nothing. The app remained, still, silent, watching. Okafo dropped the phone on the bed like it had suddenly become hot. He stood up and began to walk around his room slowly, running his hand over his head. "This is just app, he kept repeating to himself. But deep inside, he knew something was wrong, very wrong. After a while, he returned to the bed carefully, like someone approaching something dangerous. The phone was still there, quiet, harmless looking. He picked it up again. The screen lit up instantly. The app opened by itself. Okafo froze. "I no touch anything," he whispered. The screen turned black again. Then the text appeared. Days left 12. Okafo's heart skipped. 12? He quickly checked the time. It was past midnight. A new day had started. The number had dropped. It was real. The countdown was real. Before he could process that, the phone camera opened suddenly. The front camera. Okafo's own face appeared on the screen, but something felt wrong. He stared at himself. The image was slightly darker than it should be. His eyes looked tired, but not just tired, empty. He leaned closer to the screen. "Why, I look like this?" he muttered. Then, the image blinked, but Okafo did not blink. He froze. His body went still. Slowly, Very slowly, he raised his hand and touched his own face. His real face did not blink, but the one on the screen had. A cold wave rushed through his body. "No," he whispered. The camera image froze, then flickered, and for a split second, just a split second, the image changed. It showed him, lying still, eyes closed, motionless. Okafo dropped the phone immediately. His breathing became fast and uneven. "No, no, no," he whispered, stepping back. The phone hit the bed and bounced slightly, but it did not go off. It stayed on, the screen glowing faintly in the dim room. Okafo stood there, staring at it from a distance. His heart was beating hard now. Too fast. The room felt colder. The silence, louder. After a few seconds, he slowly walked back towards the bed. Carefully, cautiously, like someone approaching something that could react. He picked up the phone again. The camera was gone. The screen now showed only one thing. Next phase begins. Okafo swallowed hard. "Which phase?" he whispered. The phone vibrated again, low, heavy. Then another message appeared. "You are being observed." Okafo's eyes widened slowly. His head turned slightly, scanning the room, the corners, the door, the window. Everything looked normal, but the feeling was not normal. It felt like something invisible was standing somewhere in the room. Something quiet, something patient, watching him, waiting. Okafo sat down slowly on the edge of the bed, his phone still in his hand, his body tense, his mind racing, and deep inside him, the truth settled fully for the first time. This was no longer just an app. Something had followed him, something that started the moment he pressed download. And now, it was not leaving. That night, Okafo did not turn off the light. He couldn't. The moment he tried earlier, the darkness felt too heavy, like something was already waiting inside it. So he left the bulb on, dim, yellow, flickering slightly. He sat on his bed, his back against the wall, his phone placed carefully on the small table beside him. Not too close, but not too far. He didn't trust it anymore, but somehow, he couldn't bring himself to throw it away again. The room was quiet, too quiet. Even the usual sounds of Lagos seemed distant tonight, like the world outside had moved away from him. Okafo rubbed his face slowly. His eyes were heavy, but sleep refused to come. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered that image, that version of himself, still, unmoving, gone. "No, I go stay awake," he whispered to himself, but the human body has its limits. Slowly, without realizing, his eyes began to close, his breathing softened, and eventually, sleep took him. At first, it felt normal. He was standing in his room. Everything looked the same. The bed, the fan, the table, even the phone, but something was wrong. The air felt thick, heavy, and there was a sound, a low, distant sound, like a whisper. "Okafo," he turned slowly. "Who dey there?" he asked. No answer, only silence. Then, the phone on the table lit up, bright, too bright. He walked toward it slowly. Each step felt heavy, like his legs were dragging through water. The whisper came again, closer this time. "Okafo," his chest tightened. "Who be that?" he said louder now. Still no response, only the phone, glowing, waiting. He reached out, slowly, and picked it up. The screen was black, but he could see something inside it. A shape, faint, like a shadow moving behind glass. His breath caught in his throat. "What is this?" he whispered. Then suddenly, the screen flashed and he saw himself, lying on his bed, not moving. The same image again, still, silent, gone. Okafo dropped the phone in the dream, but it did not fall. It stayed in the air, floating. The whisper came again, right behind him this time. "You saw it!" Okafo turned quickly. He woke up. His body jerked forward. His chest rose sharply as he gasped for air. Sweat covered his face. His heart was beating fast, too fast. For a few seconds, he didn't move. He just sat there, breathing heavily, trying to understand where he was. Then slowly, he looked around. His room, his real room, The light was still on. The fan was still turning. Tick, tick, tick. It was just dream, he whispered, but his voice did not sound convinced. He wiped his face with his hand. Then slowly, his eyes moved to the table. The phone, it was on, the screen glowing softly. Okafo froze. I no touch you, he whispered. The screen changed. Days left. 9. His heart dropped. 9? He quickly checked the time again. Days were passing, faster than he could control, before he could react. A sound came from the phone, a very low sound, almost too low to hear, like something speaking, but not clearly. Okafo leaned closer slowly. "What is that?" he whispered. The sound became slightly clearer, a faint, broken whisper. "Kafo." His body went cold. He leaned back immediately. "No." The phone vibrated, then the message appeared. "You can hear us now." Okafo's eyes widened. "Us," he whispered. The room suddenly felt smaller, tighter, like the walls had moved closer. The phone vibrated again. Another message appeared. "Do not ignore what is coming." Okafo stood up quickly. No, I no go do this again," he said, shaking his head. He grabbed the phone and rushed to the door. He opened it and stepped outside his apartment. The corridor was empty, silent. He walked to the edge and threw the phone down the corridor. It hit the ground with a sharp sound, sliding slightly before stopping. Okafo stood there, breathing heavily. "Stay there," he said firmly. He turned and walked back into his room, closed the door, locked it, then leaned his back against it, his chest rising and falling. "I done finished with you," he muttered. He walked slowly back to his bed, sat down. For a moment, everything was quiet again, too quiet. Then, a vibration, right beside him. Okafo froze. His eyes moved slowly to the bed, the phone. It was there, lying exactly where it used to be, screen on, glowing, alive. Okafo did not move. His lips parted slightly. "No," he whispered. The screen changed. Days left. 9. Then another message appeared. "You cannot escape observation." Okafo's breathing became uneven. His hands began to shake, because now it was clear, completely clear. This was not just about predicting his future anymore. Something was inside that phone, something that could follow him, something that could speak, something that was now aware of him. And as he sat there, frozen in fear, one terrifying truth settled deep in his mind. He was not alone, and whatever was watching him was getting closer. By the time the sun rose that morning, Okafo had not truly slept. His eyes were red, his body felt heavy, but his mind was louder than ever. The phone lay beside him on the bed, quiet, still, as if nothing had happened. Okafo stared at it for a long time. Then slowly, he sat up. He picked it up again. This time, his hands were no longer shaking as much, not because he was no longer afraid, but because something else had started to grow inside him. Acceptance. If this thing was real, if the countdown was real, then fear alone would not help him. The screen lit up. Days left. 8. Okafo stared at the number. Then he exhaled slowly. 8 days, he said quietly. He looked around his small room. The same walls, the same fan, the same silence. Then he gave a soft, tired laugh. "So, na hira one die?" he murmured. He shook his head slowly. "No." He stood up. "For once, I go live." That decision changed everything. That same morning, Okafo picked up his phone and sent a message to his office. "I will not be coming back." No long explanation, no apology, just that. He dropped the phone on the bed and walked into the bathroom. For the first time in a long while, he took his time. No rush, no pressure, just quiet. Later that day, Okafo stepped outside his apartment and into the busy streets of Lagos. The city looked different, or maybe he was the one seeing it differently. The noise, the people, the movement, everything felt more alive. He entered a restaurant and ordered food without checking the price. He sat by the window and watched people pass. For the first time in a long time, he smiled, a real smile. He began to do things he had been postponing for years. He called old friends. Some were shocked. "Guy, you know they call a person like this before, oh," one of them said. Okafo laughed softly. Man just decided to rest small. He visited places he had never gone before, spent money without thinking twice, even helped strangers. At one point, he saw a man struggling to pay for food, and he quietly covered the bill. "God bless you," the man said. Okafo nodded. "Just eat well," he replied. For a moment, everything felt peaceful, almost like life was finally opening up to him. But the phone did not stay quiet. That evening, as he sat alone at a small table enjoying his meal, the phone vibrated. Slowly, he looked at it, hesitated, then picked it up. The screen lit up. Days left 8. Then another message appeared. "You are wasting time." Okafo frowned. "What?" he whispered. He looked around. People were eating, talking, laughing. Everything was normal, but the message stayed. "You are wasting time." His chest tightened slightly. "I know, ask you," he muttered. He dropped the phone back on the table, tried to ignore it, but a few seconds later, another vibration. He picked it again. Happiness will not change what is coming. Okafo's jaw tightened. "Leave me," he said under his breath, but the phone did not stop. That night, as he returned home, the feeling followed him. Even though he had spent the day smiling, something inside him felt disturbed, like someone had been watching him the entire time. He entered his room slowly, closed the door, locked it. The familiar silence returned, but it no longer felt normal. It felt occupied. He placed the phone on the table, turned his back, tried to ignore it, but then the screen lit up by itself. The light filled the room faintly. Okafo turned slowly, his heart already beating faster. The message appeared. Days left 7. The number had dropped again. Okafo swallowed. Then another message came. "You cannot run from what is already written." His breathing became uneven. "I know they run," he whispered weakly. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. Everything he was doing, the spending, the laughter, the movement, it was all escape. Then suddenly, the phone began to play something, a sound, very low, very faint. Okafo stepped closer slowly. "What is that?" he whispered. The sound became clearer. It was breathing, slow, heavy, not his. Okafo froze, his eyes locked on the phone. The screen flickered. Then for a brief moment, he saw something again, a shadow, standing behind him, inside the screen. Okafo turned quickly. Nothing. The room was empty. But when he turned back to the phone, the message had changed. "We are closer now." Okafo stepped back slowly, his chest rising sharply. "No," he whispered. "No." Because now, even when he tried to live, even when he tried to forget, it followed him, watched him, spoke to him, and worst of all, it reminded him, every second, every moment, that his time was running out. The night passed slowly, painfully slowly. Okafo did not sleep. He couldn't. Every time he tried to close his eyes, the sound came back. That breathing, not his, close, too close. So he stayed awake, sitting at the edge of his bed, his eyes fixed on the phone lying on the table, waiting, watching. Morning finally came, but it did not bring peace. It only brought confirmation. Okafo picked up the phone with slow, careful hands. The screen lit up instantly. Days left 1. His throat went dry. 1, he whispered. Not days anymore. Hours, moments. The room felt different that morning. The air was colder than usual. Even though the sun was already rising over Lagos, Okafo felt no warmth, only pressure, heavy pressure, like something invisible had filled the room. He stood up slowly, walked to the window, looked outside. People were moving normally, cars passing, voices rising and falling. Life was going on, as if nothing was about to happen, as if the world did not know what he knew. Okafo let out a shaky breath. "So, this is how ego be," he murmured. He turned back into the room. His eyes fell on the phone again. It lit up immediately. Final phase, active. Okafo's heart tightened. What? Phase again? He whispered. The phone vibrated, stronger this time, longer. The screen flickered rapidly. Then, a loud ticking sound began. Tick, tick, tick. Not from the fan, from the phone. The sound was sharper, closer, like it was inside his head. Okafo pressed his ears slightly. Stop, he muttered, but it didn't stop. He grabbed the phone. Why? You know, go leave me, he shouted. The screen went black instantly. The ticking stopped. Silence. Complete silence. For a brief second, everything felt still. Okafo breathed heavily. Then, the screen came back on, slowly, and what he saw made his body freeze. The camera was open again, but this time, it was not showing him in real time. It was showing something else. Him, inside his room, but not moving, not breathing, just lying there, still, exactly where he was standing. Okafo's hands began to shake violently. No, 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 he whispered. He stepped back slowly, but the image followed. No matter where he moved, the camera angle adjusted, showing him from a future moment, already gone. Then the screen changed again. Time remaining, 6 hours. Okafo's legs felt weak. He sat down slowly on the bed, his head spinning. This thing, he whispered. This thing, they show me my end. Hours began to pass, but they did not feel normal. Time felt faster now, like it was rushing, slipping away. Every few minutes, the phone would update. 5 hours remaining. 4 hours remaining. Each message hit him like a weight on his chest. The room became quieter, too quiet. Even the outside noise seemed to fade again, as if the world was slowly pulling away from him. Then, the whispers returned, soft, broken, closer than before. Okafo, his eyes snapped open. I hear you, he whispered. We are here. Okafo stood up quickly. Who be we? He shouted. No answer, only the phone. 2 hours remaining. The ticking returned, louder now, faster. Tick, tick, tick. Okafo grabbed his head. His breathing became uneven, his chest rising sharply. I no go die like this, he said. I no go, just sit down. He rushed toward the door, opened it quickly, stepped outside, but the corridor was empty, completely empty. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. Okafo frowned deeply. This no be normal. He stepped forward slowly, but something felt wrong. The silence was too deep, like he had stepped into a place that was no longer real. The phone vibrated again in his hand. 1 hour remaining. Okafo's heart pounded. He turned back immediately and rushed into his room, closed the door, locked it. His breathing heavy now, sweat forming on his face. The phone screen turned dark again. Then, slowly, the final message appeared. Prepare. Okafo stood frozen, his chest rising and falling, his eyes wide, because now there was nothing left to deny, nothing left to escape, nothing left to run from. The phone vibrated one last time. Time remaining, minutes. The ticking became louder, faster, more aggressive. Tick, 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 tick. Okafo slowly sat down, right in the middle of his room, the phone in his hand, his breathing shaking, his body weak, and for the first time, he stopped fighting. He stopped running. He stopped thinking. He just waited, because now, the end was no longer coming. It was already there. The ticking did not stop. It grew louder, faster, closer, like it was no longer coming from the phone, but from inside Okafo himself. Tick, 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 tick. Okafo sat in the middle of his room, his back slightly bent, his hands resting weakly on his thighs. The phone lay in his palm, glowing faintly, its light reflecting in his tired eyes. His breathing was uneven, slow, then fast, then slow again. He did not look around anymore. He did not try to run. There was nowhere left to go. Time remaining, 3 minutes. The message appeared quietly, almost gently. Okafo swallowed. His lips trembled slightly. So, this is how he end, he whispered. His voice was weak now, not full of fear anymore, just empty. The room was silent. No sound from outside, no footsteps, no voices. Even the fan had stopped. Everything around him felt frozen, like the world had paused just for this moment. 2 minutes. The phone vibrated softly. Okafo closed his eyes briefly. Tears formed slowly, then rolled down his cheeks. I try, he said under his breath. I try enjoy life small. His chest tightened, but in no reach. The ticking grew louder again. Tick, tick, tick. His heart followed the same rhythm, beating hard, then slowing, then struggling. 1 minute. Okafo opened his eyes slowly, his gaze fixed on the screen. The light from the phone was the only thing left in the room now. Everything else felt dark, distant, gone. Then suddenly, the phone screen changed. For the last time, the camera opened, but not like before. This time, it showed the room from a corner angle, as if something was standing there, watching. Okafo saw himself, sitting there, waiting, still breathing, but weak, very weak. He tried to move, his fingers twitched slightly, but his body felt heavy, like something unseen was holding him down. 10 seconds. The ticking became sharp, fast, aggressive. Tick, 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 tick. Okafo's breathing became shallow, his chest rising with difficulty. 5. His vision blurred slightly. 4. The room darkened further. 3. A faint whisper filled the air again. Stay. 2. Okafo's lips moved slightly, but no sound came out. 1. Silence. The screen went black. The ticking stopped. Everything stopped. Okafo sat there, completely still. Minutes passed. No movement, no sound, no breath. The room remained quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Then slowly, the phone lit up again. The screen came back on. Bright, calm, normal. A new message appeared. User session ended. There was a pause. Then another line appeared. Scanning for next user, the phone vibrated softly, almost like a heartbeat. New device detected. The screen flickered once, then changed. Installation request sent. And somewhere, far away, another person picked up their phone, curious, tired, alone, and just like Okafo, they clicked, and the cycle began again.
Sometimes we live like we have all the time in the world until we realize time was never ours to control. Okafo waited too long to truly live, and when he finally did, it was already almost over. And in real life, many of us are doing the same, postponing joy, love, and change for later. But what if later never comes? Think about it. What would you change if your time was short?